Hello, welcome back to another video. On today's video we're going to be discussing different ways that you can track or monitor your progress from a fitness perspective. But before we start, I just want to read a few verses from this little book of mine. It's called God's Little Book of Peace and I got it from Waterstones a few months ago, and every single day without fail I pretty much flick through the book like this, stop on a random page and then read those 2 pages and maybe a few more depending on how I feel. But every single time I take something from this book I always feel more blessed and a lot more gratitude. I don't know why, I feel like this book is what I need to either start my day on a positive note or end it on a positive note. Let's go. Hope. There are many people living with no hope. Hope gives you purpose and direction. It is the oil that fuels peace. Seek forgiveness. Ultimate peace begins when we have peace with God. Regardless of your past, He is willing to forgive and forget. Just ask Him. I love it so much, and it was only $5.99 and there's like 6 other types of these books at Waterstones, so I definitely need to get my hands on them. Okay, so the purpose of this video today is purely just the fact that I've been surrounded by a lot of people recently who are wanting to start their New Year's resolutions and to lose X amount of weight in X amount of time. A lot of people that I've been speaking to have been saying that they've been going on the scales, weighing themselves week in, week out, seeing no change. And it must be really discouraging and disheartening if you are that person and you're getting on the scales week in, week out and you're not seeing any progress and you're just wanting to give up. So I'm wanting to give you a bit of guidance and a bit of support and say that the scales are not the only marker of progress, and I'm going to give you a few different tips on how to monitor or track your progress without the scales. So if you're weighing yourself multiple times a week or even multiple times a day, you're skipping social events to avoid consuming those extra calories, you consider foods as good or bad, or you skip meals hoping that the scales will change, then I think it's time you ditch the scales and look beyond the numbers. Just because the scales aren't changing the way that you want, that doesn't mean that you're not making some serious progress. Because in reality, those numbers don't actually tell us much, they just tell us our whole body mass weight. It doesn't tell us how much muscle mass we have, how much fat mass we have. A lot of physiological changes that occur within our body, such as your heart rate. So if you've been training a while and you did have really high heart rate and it's now significantly decreased, meaning that our hearts are under less pressure, that will not show on the scales, and that is an indicator of progress. Another thing is, like I say, increasing muscle mass. A lot of you will be altering your body composition, losing fat mass and gaining lean muscle mass, which again doesn't show up on the scales because it just shows us how much we weigh as a whole. The scales don't show us our changes in bowel movements throughout the day, so we might have had more number 2s that day as opposed to another day that we weigh ourselves. Another reason why our weight might be fluctuating. Hormonal changes, so specifically for women who are menstruating that week or that month, this will impact the number that is on those scales. Or even if you've just consumed more fluid that day, our body will have retained a lot more water, and again, that doesn't show up on the scales. What I'm trying to express is that weight fluctuations are normal. We are human, physiological processes are occurring 24 hours of the day. And yeah, you might get on the scales every Sunday morning at 10 AM, but again, every single day our processes that are going on within our body are occurring and changing all the time. Our environments change all the time, therefore the number on the scale will have changed. Just little things like that a lot of people, I don't think, realise. There is a lot more scientific evidence to elaborate further on those points that I've just made, but unfortunately I'm not a doctor and yeah, I can't reel them off my tongue. What I want you to understand is weight fluctuations are normal, and by realising that there are alternative ways of measuring progress can really make you feel better about yourself and ultimately less discouraged. So alternative ways of tracking your progress are by recognising if you have more energy throughout the day, resulting in daily activities becoming easier. An example of this would be if you always go on your local dog walk route and you found that recently you've been coming back from the dog walk less tired or still having a bit more energy in the tank, that is progress. Another example would be maybe the cleaning around the house, so the hoovering, the mopping. If you're finding it a lot easier to do as opposed to a few weeks ago, that is also progress. Another way of tracking your progress is if you're hitting bigger lifts in the gym or training with higher volume. So if you're going to the gym and you're now warming up with a weight that used to be your top set, that is progress. Or similarly, if you're at the gym and you're training with a dumbbell, doing 12 reps rather than 8 reps that you would have done previously, that is also progress. Another marker of progress is that your self-confidence has elevated. If you really wanted to wear a certain pair of leggings to the gym or shorts or a gym set to the gym and you can now finally do it, that is progress. Progress should not be deemed as just physical changes. It can massively depend on your psychological or mental health as well. Another marker of progress is you're making overall healthier choices throughout the day and even on your food shop. So what I mean by this is that you, for example, opt for a punnet of grapes rather than a bag of biscuits. And I'm not saying you need to eliminate biscuits from your diet completely, because I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with a all or nothing approach or restrictions of any food groups whatsoever. I want to promote a healthy, balanced diet incorporating all food groups. You make healthier choices throughout the day. So rather than have your second chocolate bar of the day, opt for a selection of grapes or a piece of fruit or just one of your 5 a day really, because it is so important that we maintain a healthy diet to prevent the onset of illness or the onset of disease and ultimately protect our immune system. Eat the chocolate bar, that's not what I'm saying. Just opt for healthier choices throughout the day, and even on your food shop, just think of all the micronutrients that you'll be getting through pieces of fruit or veg as opposed to what you'll get through a chocolate bar. And again, obviously chocolate bars do bring us happiness, but it's also important to obviously incorporate your fruit and vegetables throughout the day to promote a healthy, balanced diet. So if that is you and you're opting for healthier choices, well done. The next point is that you're getting better or uninterrupted sleep throughout the night, or if you work nights, throughout the day. I'm really sorry, but George is pissing me off, so I'm gonna let him out. As we all know, sleep is an essential component for a healthy lifestyle. It can impact our mood, our performances throughout the day, and our health. So if you were getting 6 hours of sleep per night and you're now getting 7, that is a marker of progress. The next point is the way that your clothes are now fitting is different. So whether that be for weight gain or weight loss, if one of those two are your goals and your clothes are fitting differently. For example, if you're wanting to gain muscle mass, obviously gain mass in total, and your clothes are now a little bit tighter, that is a marker of progress. If you are wanting to lose weight and your clothes are looser, that is obviously a marker of progress. Last but not least, obviously there are an array of different ways that you can monitor or track your progress, but just from my list, this is the last point, and it's if your anxiety or worry levels have decreased. Obviously, every single human on this planet experiences anxiety to some extent. I can't speak for anybody else on this point, so I'm just going to give an example of myself. So growing up, I would consider myself as an extremely anxious person and quite shy, not really wanting to make new friends, staying within my comfort zone. Recently, I joined a CrossFit gym, was extremely nervous to go in, went in, and my anxiety levels have decreased significantly. So I for me that's a marker of progress, because me 5 years ago would never have done that. So essentially what I'm trying to get at is me stepping foot in that CrossFit gym alone is a massive marker of progress, because the gym that I was at previously, I'd been going there like 3 or 4 years, so I was extremely comfortable going on my own, whereas this was a whole new environment. I didn't really know anybody. In fact, I don't think I knew a single person on my first session. So yeah, for me that was a massive game changer and a marker of progress, because I went in there on my own, did it, and came out the other end making more friends than I could ever anticipate. If you can tick at least one of those points that I've just made, that shows that you've made some serious progress already. So stop being so hard on yourself and keep going. And also remember to look beyond the numbers that are on that scale, because in reality that number doesn't mean anything, and it doesn't pick up on any of the physiological processes that are occurring within your body. So my advice to you is to go back on this video and go through all the points that I've mentioned, and if you can relate to any of them and you have achieved any of them, then give yourself a pat on the back, because you've come further than you think.